What some thoughts about tonight's game?
Well, it's certainly exciting to get a home victory. Our kids prepared really hard over the week, and so I wish we had played a little bit better in the first half, but in the end, we finished strong.
You know, I know being an old Matrona guy, you've heard the most improvement is between week 1 and week 2. Did you see that?
I did. Our preparation throughout the week was really good, and there was some things that we needed to get cleaned up offensively and defensively, and I think for the most part we did that. Obviously, there's still going to be some things that we need to get a little bit better at, but in general, we grew a little bit going into week 2.
What are some of the things maybe you need to get better at?
Well, we got to get some guys off the field on third down on defense. There was a number of times where we had pushed them, and they're picking it up on third down, and then we got to get people out the field and get our offense back out there. We didn't really block all the well in the first half. We had a little bit bigger offensive line, a little bit more size than this team did, and so we got to be able to take advantage of that.
Offensively, you've had 2 good games in a row, really.
Yeah, we're putting up some points. I'm a bit of a perfectionist on some things, and so there's always things that we can get a little bit better at. But we're making progress. Simple as that.
I know Drew Wilson. You kind of stick him in there as like wildcat kind of thing, and it works.
Yeah, Drew is a really good running back. And he's got a little bit of a background as a quarterback. He played there as a freshman and as a sophomore, and so he's comfortable in that role. And we could let him get that extra blocker involved there, and we got a little sweep guy, and so it's been pretty good for us.
And what about your quarterback?
Chance is growing up. He played really well last week on the road. I think that the home crowd had him a little bit nervous early on, and that's kind of be expected when you're a first year starter. But he overcame some mistakes early on and played really well in the second half. And he's going to do nothing but get better. He made a couple mistakes here or there. He'll learn from them, and odds are he probably won't repeat them.
You gave up 567 yards last week. I mean, this is a much better defensive effort this week.
It was, and in particular in the second half. I think that we gave up a little bit more in the first half than we'd have liked to. But that you talked about growth from week 1 to week 2, and that's probably a good part of it right there. Is getting holding down some yards, and the yards is not a huge factor. We talk to our kids about points, and giving up 12 this week is certainly better than the 36 a week ago.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes runs after the catches can burn you in a lot of ways.
We had a 0-week scrimmage against Mountain View, and then we played Riverton last week, and now Rollins this week. Every one of them was running a spread offense, and the thing about a spread is that they put athletes in space, and you got to be sure tacklers, and I think we're a little bit better about that, and you got to get guys down when they catch it out there.
You made the state championship game last year. What is it going to take for you guys to make that next step?
Well, I think the key to our success last year was that we just got better every week. It didn't always translate, to victories. We played a Jackson team really close early on in the season, and we played Star Valley close. But we got better, and that's kind of the formula for any team success. That you got to just keep growing every week, and that's what we're trying to do.
And 3A's no picnic.
No, there's a lot of good teams out there, a lot of quality coaches, and so we got to just keep working.